everybody I've ever met who is somebody has had $1 million idea. And it comes wherever you're at the moment, you go, hey, I just got this idea. How many of you have acted on that idea? Maybe once or twice in our lives. I'm telling you that one of my best friends did it. Not once, but 2 or 3 times. And part of that $1 million idea, I believe, was saying yes to this thing at the Good Leadership Breakfast and the generosity that he's created. So without further ado, please welcome a successful inventor, a wonderful husband and father, an awesome businessman, and a good leader that we can all admire, Mark Bergman.
I don't know if it's on. Is it on? You hear? Hello to all of you. Thanks for showing up on this chilly Friday morning. I think I'll start by thanking Paul again and congratulating you on all your success. And let people know that if I had a list of 100 things that I would rather not be doing right now, be public speaking. So here I am, and there's one reason I'm here, and his name's Paul. He approached me about 3 months ago. He said, I'd really like you to speak in February. And again, it's the last thing I want to do. So I had all these excuses. I had a business meeting. I had travel. I had a vacation. And he kept pushing and prodding and got to the point where he said, well, what if we change the date of the breakfast? Can you make it then? So at that point in time, I knew it was futile. I had to give up. He was going to win. So here I am. So you've got me for 12 minutes. I'll do the best I can. So anyway, Paul kind of broke it into segments for me. He said, why don't you start with your history? How did you get to where you are today? And number 2, how do you face the challenges and the joys of running your business today? And how do you try and manage the 7 F's in both personal and professional life? So the history's been kind of interesting. I grew up in Wayzata, older sister, younger brother, father who was an attorney downtown. Started a firm right out of William Mitchell, little firm. Mom, stay at home. And the ideal life of, Leave It to Beaver in the late 60s. And thinking about that, I thought about my very first job. In fact, I was talking to 2 guys here today. First job, age 12, delivering newspapers for the Tribune. How many people here have ever had a paper route? That's what happened to me. I had 2 people I talked to. So pretty amazing. And that whole job for kids has completely disappeared because I was talking to my daughter in the office the other day. I said, think about this. Age 12, morning paper route, Monday through Saturday, getting up on your own at 10 to 6. You're going out there in pitch black, 20 below zero, delivering papers. And you're running your own business. There's no supervision. There's no one helping you. And rain or shine, whatever the weather, you're responsible to deliver your product. And then you've got accounts receivable, accounts payable. 12 years old, you have your checkbook. First time I got one. So the paper charges you for the papers they deliver to you each month, and then you're responsible to go door to door and collect the $2.10 per 2 weeks probably. Anyway, it opened my eyes and got me thinking, that's where I really started. So from there, graduated from Wayzata High School and went on to, some people call it a colorful career at Gustavus. I've heard that before. College in the mid-'70s, as a lot of you might know, was more about the social aspects than really academic. And I really fell into that head first. So I managed to get into my junior year before the dean of students called me in for about the 20th time and said, you know what, Mark, we're going to ask you to take a year off. And it's due to a continued series of disruptive behavior. I said, all right. I couldn't argue. So I knew I was going down this path. So I'd already made arrangements through a friend for lodging and a job in Aspen. Not a bad way to go. So right before Christmas, I had some buddies that drove me out to Aspen and dumped me off. So I was there a year, and it was really the best thing that could have happened to me. I call it my forced sabbatical, because I got out there and I realized, you know, I really need to finish school. I need to get my business degree. I need to go back. So I was there a year, and much to the dismay of the entire administration, I showed up back at Gustavus, said, I'm here again. So they made up a bunch of rules and regulations that I had to follow to get back in, but I did. I got back in, and a year and a half later, got my diploma, and got engaged and married my little sweetheart from Gustavus, so it's been 32 plus years, and it's been nice. And 4 kids, 2 are here. I may as well introduce you right now. They both work with me. Britta, who's been working with me for 5+ years out of Gustavus, and Chris, almost 8 years now out of Gustavus. So it's been fun, and like you've maybe read, it's a little family business. But at any rate, so after marriage, quickly moved out to Aspen together for 2 years, and then came back. And that's when I say I got a big boy job with a coat and tie, and started selling financial services for IDS. And had a great group of people, young, we were making good money, and it was tons of fun. And realized, though, the idea of wearing a coat and tie every day didn't really appeal to me. So about that time, little Christopher, who was 1, was sitting in the kitchen, and this was the first invention. And this was back in what would it have been, 84. He was 1. And as most of you have done as parents feeding kids, you make the sound of, where'd that box go? Make the sound of an airplane, and you say, open the hangar, here comes the airplane. This was my first product, called the Food Flyer. And just as simple as this, and talking about patent, my dad knew an old patent attorney, Fred Lang, downtown. He said, go talk to him. So went down there, and I had some drawings and this and that, and lo and behold, no one had ever done this before. And you think about it, it's timeless. And no one had ever stepped up, got the patent, and proceeded. So I shared an office with a buddy at the time, and the 2 of us thought, you know what, let's go for it. So we quit our big boy jobs, and funny story about that is he had just gotten married, and he had a successful business going. He was going to take over his grandfather's insurance business, and now he elected to sell plastic spoons out of his basement. That was a tough sell on the in-laws. Like, really? Really? This is what you want to do? So the 2 of us started together in 1986, first company, and we knew less than nothing about running a business. We didn't know bills of lading, invoicing, and that was before computers. We had a typewriter and a fax machine in his basement in St. Louis Park. Pretty soon the UPS truck started coming down the alley and picking stuff up, and we're going, geez, now what? Now what are we going to do? So moved into a building in 86, and we hired our first employee, who is still with me today. She's my right hand. And from there, we just kept developing products. It was a couple years later, 3 years later, 89. I looked at my kids' shoes. So Britta was maybe 3, Chris was 6, and their shoes and hide. And I looked over, I had a duffel bag or something from LL Bean with one of those little cord clamps, you know, spring-loaded deals. So I took it off the duffel bag and put it on their shoes and cut off the laces and tied a knot. But no, that works. And they liked it. So again, did the patent work? No one had ever done individual shapes. So we made a teddy bear, a football, a heart, an airplane, and called them shoe boppers. Started another whole, same business, just a different direction. We were going through shoe stores now, Famous Footwear. We sold Target. We sold Kmart. And it just kind of kept on rolling. We kept expanding the line. And then we got into some shoelaces. And a company from China sent us a bunch of unique shoelaces at the time. And out of nowhere, they included some barrettes for kids made with colorful shoelaces, balloons, whatnot. So we look at this and think, oh, that's kind of interesting, unique. We packaged them up, and I sent them to the buyer at Kmart, who I'd never met, just put them together, put the price on there, and sent it. A couple of weeks go by, and I was just ready to contact her again and follow up. And the UPS truck pulls up to the front of our little office, and the driver comes in. He's got a box, just like a brick, drops it on the desk from Kmart. So he leaves, and the three of us, Dan and Dawn and I, are looking at this going, well, let's open it. Open it up. Completely full of purchase orders from Kmart. $260,000 worth of orders for the 3 barrettes that I just sent her. And I'm telling you, that doesn't happen. I never called her. I never talked to her. I never saw her. There it was. Like, okay, well, now we're going to get in the hair accessories business. So ordered them up from China, and that was, let's see, about 89, 1990. And it was a good business. It was, again, you know, before the internet, things have changed so dramatically since the time I started, just in the way you gather information and you source product and everything else. So we were moving down the hair accessory line, and then we got into Target. Then it was 91. And we were down there, and if you remember, January 91 was the Saddam Hussein Kuwait thing, and Whitney Houston sang at the Super Bowl, and patriotism was all-time high. So we're down talking to, did I lose this? We're down talking to the buyer at Target asking, is there something you need? Can we help you source a product that you're short on or having difficulty finding? The buyer said, you know what? We can't find any American flags, and we're panicked for Memorial Day. Okay. Such a rush on flags, every company in the country was out of them. So we started poking around. My partner was just a great sourcer. He's just relentless. And so we're all over the country trying to find fabric, and we're on our last, we said this is the last week. If we don't find something, we need to give up. So we're at the little fabric store over in Southtown. I don't know if it was Joann Fabrics or whatever. But anyway, had a roll of fabric, and got the manager over. He told us where we could find it. And all of a sudden now we're in the flag business. We had people cutting it out. We were paying them piecework. We found the dowels, and we ran that for 6 months until all the other companies got caught up, and we were out. So that was 91, and then we kept on moving down the path. Dan and I started a bindery die cutting business in 99. I hated that business. Too many people, 24/7. He liked it. He took that business in 2000 and moved to Brooklyn Center. I took the little accessories business and moved out to Chanhassen. And then 2000 was the creation of the handy paint pail. This is the original. We were, these are my 2 old kids. We have a 20-year-old who we adopted from Korea, and we were in 2000 going to China to adopt a little girl from China for our 4th. So in order to do that, we had to paint another bedroom to get ready. So it's how all my kids have really helped produce all the products in a weird, twisted way. So painting, I'm holding onto the can, my hand's getting tired. The strap through the years now has shrunk, but it used to be big enough to get your hand in there. And I'm using it, and my son started using it, my wife is using it, and I'm like, hey, I think you got something. So who did I go see? My little friend Jimmy Young. And what do you think of this? And he said, well, I never get too excited until you run the patent search and you see that it's clear. And he ran it and said, it's clear. No one had ever done a vessel or a container with an adjustable strap. So from there, it's kind of funny when you look at the 2 of them, you know, it's not much different. And have a great design team, great patent attorneys. So that was 2002, and away we went with that. And to a lot of, it's really, that's the story. This was the first product, and now we have about 12 different painting products, from trays, cups, mini roller trays, and our distribution is really wonderful. We've been lucky, you know, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menard, Sherwin-Williams, I can go into a little store in the middle of nowhere. If they sell paint, chances are they have something that we sold, whether it's from distribution or whatever. So We're still doing it today. We have 7 people here in Chanhassen, 1 guy out in Denver, and Jeff, stand up. He's my VP of Sales and Marketing. Come on. He's been with me 8 years. He's not family, but he sure feels like it. And I'm proud of the fact that through these years, I just had Britta run the numbers. From the time we started in '02 to today, we've shipped about $65 million from this with all the products. And from that, almost everything has been produced in Minnesota and Wisconsin, which I'm very, very proud of. So that's I used too much time on the history. So now it was, what do I deal with today regularly? Joy and difficulty. Joy is easy. We have more fun at work than anybody I know. I don't want to say too much fun because I don't think you can have too much fun. So the joy is easy. The difficulty is probably continuing to deal with the big boys, the depots, the Lowe's, because it's constantly changing. The merchants, the buyers, the personnel, constantly changing. They're all trying to make their mark on the world with what they decide to buy and do. And that's my biggest challenge. We had a huge win about a week ago when we finally convinced our biggest customer, I won't name names, but they really like the color orange. We finally convinced them to go back to where they were. They had some harebrained scheme to fix something, and it was a disaster. So we fixed that. We righted the ship about a week ago. That's the real challenge in bringing more products to market and continuing to just fuel this distribution we have, because when you add up all the stores, it's a great situation to be in. We just need to keep adding more products and more innovation, and Jeff and I are working on something right now, which could be kind of interesting. The third thing is, how do I manage to blend the 7 F's with family and personal life, work? And it was funny, as I was jotting down thoughts, I thought, there should be an 8F, and you'd probably thought about this. If philanthropy started with an F, it would be right there, because that's a big part of what we do. And where I go is we're just trying to create more sales, keep building the company, and the whole crew I have is all about appreciating what we have, what we've done, and trying to share it the best we can. We have a lot of different charities we're involved with this year. Really thanks to Jeff, we've hitched our wagon to the Children's Tumor Foundation and created just a new, not a design, just a color. This is the colors for the Children's Tumor Foundation. And we're trying to donate a portion of every sale back of this, and the goal is $25,000 to the foundation this year. We have a film festival in May that I'd love to invite all of you to. There's cards on the table, and the proceeds go to the Children's Tumor Foundation for that. In going through this process, and I call it an exercise when Paul gave me these things, I thought, what a wonderful thing for almost everybody to do and answer the questions, how did I get here? It's kind of fun to sit down there and really write it out and all the rest. And Britta's got something to hand out. There are some quotes I'd love for you to hand out, just distribute to the tables. In closing, many times I see things about goodness and I always think about Paul for some unknown reason when that happens. And back in September, I was helping to move my 20-year-old into college. And there's a president down there. It's Illinois Wesleyan University is where she goes to school. And there's an old president there that passed away, and he's very famous, and he has a statue. And I thought it was really interesting. In one of his commencement speeches to the seniors, he said, now, go out in the world and do well. But more importantly, go out in the world and do good. And I thought, that's Paul. That's just great. Enjoy what you have and try to help other people if you can. And there was another Gandhi quote on a T-shirt that same day, which that's what Britt and Bennett are handing out. So I went on the internet to make sure it's the second quote on this sheet, that a kid had it on his T-shirt, same day in the library. And I thought, that's a cool quote. So I Googled it, and these are, I believe, 12 Gandhi quotes that he made famous. And they were celebrating one of his birthdays, so they published it. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to print them all and hand them out because I think they're awesome. So there you have it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. That's it.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll get a few minutes with Mark here in and after we do our roundtable discussion. But one of the things we talk about in our business, what really works, is that we don't quote dead guys. But it's okay for our speaker to quote dead guys, right? Okay, so so the discussion question is this: what is your $1 million idea, and why aren't you doing something about it? We have a 7-minute discussion at the roundtables. Ready, set, go. This is the hardest I have to work all day, is to get you all to come back. I know it's great fun to have the $1 million idea conversation at your table. One of our rituals here is my favorite part of the whole breakfast is getting a chance to ask some questions to our speaker. And the first thing I'm going to ask you, Mark, is, so what do you do for all this fun at the office?
Well, you've been there.
I have been there,
So
yep.
you know.
You're not talking to me, though. You're talking to them.
It's pretty much like a giant house. We got everything we need, from big TVs and pool table, ping pong, bar, several refrigerators, and putting area. And we just are really good at mixing business and pleasure.
So
I will say that.
So you're having meetings around the pool table.
We have been known to do that. We also have an old stereo back there where we spin vinyl, as we say.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, spin vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things they were referring to at college when I invited you out, right? So how do you make time to work on your fitness?
It's funny, you and I have talked about this. I'm one of the, I think I'm one of the lucky guys because I love to exercise.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you love to exercise.
See?
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I wonder if they're lying.
Yeah, and the whole crew at work, we all belong to, we're all members at Lifetime, and we all create, if someone just gets up from their desk and says, hey, I'm going to work out, see you, great, have at it. So just the way it goes.
So you exercise at the club and...
Or at home, or outside. Or
yeah, yeah, okay. Well, here's a really important question, I think, for us in embracing the whole concept of goodness. Where's your faith alive in your work?
Kind of every day. Faith is one of the 7 F's that probably, like most of us, you could always put a lot more time and effort into. Everything else kind of takes care of itself for me. Faith to me is basically just doing the best I can, making the right decision as often as I can, and treating people fairly and with respect. And that's really the basis of my faith. And obviously love going to church and spending time there, but it's simply doing the right thing and treating people right.
Amen, right? So what's your secret to leading your team? It's not maybe the same kind of team that some of us have in our businesses. What's the secret for you to keep that team together?
I thought about that, and because of the crew that we've assembled, leadership takes nothing from me. I tease them, I said, I could go away, you guys are fine, which they are. And I was thinking about this as I was gathering thoughts too. Some people, I think, want to create a business because they want to be a leader. I just did it because I didn't like people telling me what to do. It's that simple. I wasn't striving to create this monster or anything else. I just never liked people telling me what I could and couldn't do. And that's true today.
Amen again, right? Outstanding. Well, so talk about the blending of your work life and home life. What's the biggest obstacle that you face around that?
I would say, again, it's probably everybody in this room, and it's time. You know, you get pulled 1,000 different directions. I travel a lot, and it's just trying to fit everything in and share your time and be as productive as you can on all facets. Probably the one that gets pulled away from the most is my dear wife. You know, a lot of times things take precedent over that, and I have to always keep that in mind.
Yeah, you married up, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. I know that.
Yeah. So where do you see goodness, the way we talk about it? Where do you see it alive in your business and in the business world that you are working in?
It's been interesting being in this painting hardware business for now 12 years. There's goodness all over. There's so many different events that sponsor various charities, and even the big boys, Depot, Lowe's, not so much Menards, but some others, are very, very involved and engaged in giving back. That's what they do, whether it's for PR or whether they really believe that for their shareholders, I'm not sure, but there's a ton of goodness going on every day, and we see it every day.
That's good. That's very reassuring. The final question is, if you could wave your magic wand and just make anything happen, what would you make happen in your life today?
I thought about that because I knew you were going to ask me that. And I was with my dear father last night who's suffering from Alzheimer's. And I see the effects of that on the actual person and how it affects the family. I know you're dealing with it on Melinda's side. And if I could do one thing, it would be to figure out a cure for that, because we're all in it some way, somehow. And in years to come, it's just getting worse. And I think if I could wave the wand, that would be obviously unbelievable.
Well, basically everything else you've touched so far has worked, so why don't you start working on that?
Maybe I will.
Yeah, outstanding. Please say thank you to Mark Bergman.